Hi, my name is Lou and welcome to my channel. I create videos specifically for parents of middle school math students to help you support your child and better understand the math standards they're learning in school. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in business and I am certified to teach middle school math here in Virginia. So whether you're brushing up on concepts or just trying to keep up, you're in the right place. Let's make math make sense and we'll do it together. So the last grade I taught was actually grade 7 math. And one of the topics is negative powers of 10. So before we get started on the lesson, we're going to go over some vocabulary. The first one is exponential form. Anytime we write a number in exponential form, we have a base, which is our big number. And in this case, I'm going to put the number 2. And my exponent is 3. I was trying to change the color, but it's not changing. Nope, it's not changing. My exponent is the little number to the left on top, so that is a 3. And when we write a number in exponential form, that means we want to repeatedly multiply. We're going to take this base, which is 2, and we're going to multiply that 2 3 times. So this is not 2 times 3. This is actually 2 times 2 times 2. And if we multiply that out, that is 2 times 2 is 4. And then 4 times 2 is 8. So a quick reference is, so what is the difference between multiplication? Should be an L, multiplication, versus exponential form. When we're multiplying, we're actually doing repeated addition. So let's again look at 2 to the third power. So in multiplication, we would write 2 times 3. That means 2 plus 2 plus 2. 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 4 is 6. And we know that 2 times 3 is also 6. In exponential form, as we saw, we have a base. In this case, it is 2. And that base is the number that we're going to repeatedly multiply. Our exponent 3 tells us how many times we're going to multiply that base. So that would be 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So let's go on to one of the lessons that may be taught in the math class. So this is Math Instructional Plan, grade 7. And this is actually made by the Virginia Department of Education, which is what they want the students to know. So they'll probably put their name on top. And this is in 2025. This is standard 7.NS.1 or number sense. 7.number sense and 1. And that's just the date. So they ask you to complete the chart. 10 to the 5th power. This is written in exponential form. We'll put that on top. And we know that that's exponential form because we have a base, which is 10, and our power, which is 5. This is expanded form. So when we have expanded form, we are actually taking the factors that we're going to multiply. In this case, it is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to take that 10. We're going to multiply 10 5 times. And in our standard form, that is just one value. So if we look at it, we can see that this base, which is 10, but my exponent right here is 5. And notice that we have 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we're going to do is that exponent tells us a lot. The number 5, we're going to have 5 zeros after the 1. In this case, we have 4 zeros after the 1. So that means we have 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. We're going to multiply that 4 times, and we know that that is 10 to the 4th. That fourth power means that we're going to have 4 zeros after that 1. This time we have 10 times 10 times 10, so we know that that's 10 to the 3rd power. We are repeatedly multiplying 10, and we're going to put our 1, and that exponent 3 is going to tell us that I'm going to have 3 zeros after the 1. I got 100. So students know from their multiplication tables, 10 times 10 is 100. So that means since I'm multiplying 10 2 times, that is 10 to the 2nd power, or we can also say 10 squared. Then we have just 10. So this is actually 10 to the 1st power. And in standard form, that is still just 10. Any number written to the 1st power is just that number. Now we have 10 to the 0. So this is just a fact that they're going to have to memorize. That 10 to the 0 power is 1. Any number to the 0 power is 1. Now we're going to go on to exponents, which is what the standard is going to be tested on. So when in our exponential form, we're still going to have our base. In this case is 10. And our exponent is negative 1. We also have, notice right here, we have 1 over 10, and then we have 1 over 10 to the 1st power. So students also have to know how to write a negative exponent as a positive exponent. So let's go over 10 to the 1st power. So 10 to the 1st power as factors, it is 1 divided by 10, or 1/10. As a fraction, so this is our standard form. Here's our expanded. And these are our standard form. So as a fraction, 1 over 10 is just that 1/10. As a decimal, it is 0.01. So again, we're going to look at our exponent, which is a negative 1. Anytime you have a negative number, a negative exponent, you're going to have a number between 0 and 1. Again, that number is going to be 0 and 1. It's never a negative number. It's never a number that ends in anything other than 1. So that is, here's our decimal point, and we have 1 place. After the decimal, we have 1 0 after the 1. Now we have 10 times 10, or 1 over 10 times 1 over 10. So therefore, we have 10 to the negative 2. So when we have 1 over 10 times 1 over 10, 1 times 1 is 1. 10 times 10 is 100. So let me put that in a fraction real quick. 1 over 100. But we can also write that 10 times 10 as 1 over 10 squared. So in order to write it as a decimal, I'm going to put my decimal. My exponent is negative 2, so therefore I want to go 2 place values after the 0. So that would be 1, 2. 10 to the negative 3. So that is 1/10 times 1/10 times 1/10. And to write it as a positive exponent, that's 1 over 10 to the third power. As a fraction, 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 10 times 10 is 10 times 10 times 10. That is, I guess it's 1,000. So I'm going to put a 1 and I'm just going to count the 3 zeros. 1, 2, 3. My place value is, I want 3 place values after that decimal. 1, 2, 3. This one has 4 place values. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. For that is 1 times 10. 3, 4, 5. And 1 over 10 to the 4th power. This is 10 to the negative 4, and you got it from there on the last one. So what patterns do you see? They're going to go over that in class, but basically 1 is going to end in a 1. In a decimal form, it's going to end in a 1, and that exponent is going to tell you how many place values after the decimal that number will be. That decimal will also tell you if it's a negative decimal, it is 1 over, so since we have a negative 5, we have 5 zeros after the 1, but let's go up to the top where we have positive exponents. So we know that if we have a positive exponent, our number is going to be 1 or larger. If we have a negative exponent, our number is going to be between 0 and 1. If we have a negative exponent, it can always be written as a fraction, as a decimal, as a positive exponent, and as factors of 1/10. When we have a positive exponent, that exponent is going to tell us how many times we're going to multiply 10 and how many zeros after the 1. So those are just some of the things that they're going to go over in class. Just in case you need place values, these are, if you are over 50, you already know this. So you know you have your ones, tens, and I'm just going to do it right here, hundreds. After the decimal, here is where your fractions come in. So that 6 is a 10th with a TH. That 7 is a 100th with a TH. And that 8 is a 1,000th with a TH. And just a little bit of practice of writing it with a positive exponent. So we're going to write it as 1 over 10, and I got one place, that's 10 to the first. Written as a negative exponent, 10 to the negative 1. We have 2 place values after the decimal. So with a positive exponent, that is 1 over 10 squared. And as a negative exponent, that is 10 to the negative 2. And you can fill in the chart from there. Well, I'll just do the last one. So this one, how many place values after the decimal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is 1 over 10 to the 5th power. And as a negative exponent, this is 10 to the negative 5. So one of the things they're going to be tested on is, can they write these numbers in exponential, expanded, and fractional form? So in expanded, we have a negative exponent. That is 10 to the negative 5th. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As a fraction, it is 1 And then my exponent is -5, so I'm going to have 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's going to be various numbers. So if this one was 1 over 10 times 1 over 10, then I know that that would be 10 to the -2. And as a fraction, that is 1 over 100. So this item is based off of the formative assessment from the Department of Education. So, and I'll show you where to get that. And actually, you can just Google it. It is VDOE. Formative assessment. And math. And whatever grade your loved one is in. So it says, Mr. Walker asked students to complete the following table in class. When he checked Kim's homework, Mr. Walker noticed that he wrote the incorrect fraction for each power of 10. So we're going to look at a fraction form. So the fractions are incorrect. So we have 10 to the 5th. So therefore, I know in fraction form, I'm going to write a 1, put that 1, and since I have a -5, that's going to be 5 zeros after that 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. And he has 1, 2, 3, 4. And just to double check, I'm going to check the decimal form. So my decimal 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, 5. So the decimal form is correct. So it looks like he missed a 0. Let's do 10 to the -1. Yep. Because 10 to the -1 should be 1 over 10 or 1/10. And 0.01, I'm sorry, 0.1 is actually pronounced 1/10. And it says make some correct fractions on the table and a short explanation of the pattern or general rules Kim can use to determine the fraction form of powers of 10 in the future. So this is where your loved one is going to explain what he got and why he got. Another one is statements. Is going to say true or false and justify your reasoning. I left off a G. So for example, it'll say 10 to the 0 is greater than 1. Is that true or false? That is false. So why is that false? Because any number to the 0 power is 1. So another statement we would have is, we would have 10 to the -2 is equal to 0.02. So is that true or false? This is false. And why is this false? Because powers of 10 with negative exponents always end in 1 for a decimal. And let's do one more. Let's just do 10 to the -3, and that would be -0.001. Is that true or false? This one is false. And why is that false? I gotta go all the way down. So why is that false? Because we do not have a negative number. The number has to be between 0 and 1. So powers of 10 with negative exponent. Oh. So powers of 10 with negative exponents is a number between 0 and 1. It is never negative. And I think that's pretty much it. So for more practice, you can look in the Virginia Department of Education website and you can search VDOE. It is called a MIP or Math Instructional Plan. So that is normally for teachers, but it normally gives you the worksheets that the students are doing in class. You should also go to VDOE. They have quick checks. So this is to, in a nutshell, is basically to check for, I wouldn't say it's check for comprehension, but to make sure that this is how the standard is covered. So this is what your student should know. And then the last one is VDOE, formative assessments. And this is where they can actually get extra practice on the standard. So I hope this helps.